Hi guys, Stu here with a new video, and this video will be me analyzing the stats currently for 2v2, 3v3 and also solo shuffle. I'm going to do very quickly. I'm going to talk about all regions because I think we can learn a lot by it, and I want to talk about what is the meta currently because people make tier lists. I am also making tier lists, and we can also learn from representation but also from player feeling towards certain specs, and also just in general, is representation always equal to OP or to S tier or to A tier? So let's talk about it really quickly. So right now, we have all brackets. I'm going to talk first and foremost about twos. I think we can do very quickly. Above 1800. Again, not everyone is 1800 or more. I understand that, and that's not a problem, but we can talk about it. So, currently, if I do 2v2, we have some pretty good stats. I'm going to talk first and foremost about 1800, and then I'm going to go for 2100. Not a lot of people are 2024, so I'm not going to talk about that. In 2v2, currently, the melees are overtaking ranged specs in popularity but also in representation, but that always has been the case. Even whenever ranged DPS was very popular, you always had a lot of melees playing melees because a lot of melees don't want to play ranged, and I can understand that. Like kiting all the time, trying to be surviving, being the kill target is not always fun, and I do understand that. And I think there are pros and cons for every single playstyle you're playing. But currently, we still have a lot of DHs. But this is, again, is it because they served about the pre-nerf state, or is it now going to be lower in a future update? We don't know that yet, but a lot of people are already 1800. In the US, you have currently 300 DHs, and in EU you have 325, so it's equal for both sides. You have Arms Warrior, also very popular, and it works very well with a lot of healers as well. We have Unholy DK and the Rogue specs, also very dominant in twos. But the thing that is actually very surprising to me is you don't have a lot of survival hunters, and for that I have a good reason. The Feign Death Dispel being gone makes Survival Hunter infinitely more easy to kill. It just is the case. I think also the force set is not fantastic. I know also some people do try to make it work, but I don't think Fury of the Eagle is actually very good. So that's my opinion. I do feel like Survival currently, they are like, again, they are already a spec that is also very hard to play in general, just to play it perfectly, I would say. But it is now in a state where it kind of needs a buff somewhere, somehow. I think defensively needs a buff. I don't think offensively they need it, but defensively they need it. And currently, the Feign Death Dispel being gone is actually a big thing. It was already a big thing in season one, whenever you didn't have Craven Stratagem legendary from Shadowlands, but now it is like worse. Like normally versus Affliction Warlock, you should be winning, but now you are going to lose versus them. So the dynamic has changed. In my opinion, Survival Hunter is not as good anymore in twos. The only redeeming factor for Survival Hunter right now is they have great synergies with Resto Druid and Holy Priest. Disc Priest a bit less because again, Holy Priest has a stun, and that helps with Survival Hunter actually landing traps, also to do and get a good CC potential and chain CC potential because of having a stun. So you can actually trap with your harpoon trap, and then you have your fear from the priest, and then a stun afterwards, and you can do like a big CC chain with that. But right now, this priest is very strong, which is not really the ideal spec to play with a survival hunter. And Holy Priest is not that strong as well. Resto Druid is very strong, but again, I think Resto Druid they could play with any other spec and make it very good in twos in current state. Feral Druid also a bit lower because of their survivability, but they can still work. I think the potential Feral Druid in twos is way higher than in threes, so I'm not really worrying about it. Also, I think Feral Druid is already a very niche spec in general. Then we were talking about Retribution, Enhance, Fury, and Decay being like lower of the like on the representation. I think it's normal because two of them are hybrids without MS. Frost Decay is just garbage in every single PvP section, so that's unfortunately. And Fury, right now it's very tough because you don't have the defensives to actually survive whatever your healer is CC'd. While I think Ignore Pain is way better as a defensive than any defensive Fury Warrior has currently. Ranged wise, let's talk really briefly about it, because again, the meta is not really a caster meta. You see a few mages and few warlocks. I mean, few classes in general. Those are like very good in double DPS. So you will see a lot more double DPS in those specs. And then you have also the destruction warlock, this demonology warlock, which can work with a resto druid or with a holy priest. Generally, you can also make it work with a resto shaman or with a mistweaver, but that's a bit more risky in my opinion. And BM hunter is king, but I think that was quite obvious with the hunter resto druid, big synergy, and I think BM hunter has a better synergy with disc priest than survival hunter. And in general, they have like a lot of damage, so they work. The thing about balance druid is a bit skewed. I think there are a few resto druids actually respecking, and those are also counted into the range section. I think there are not a lot of balance druid currently in the game playing twos, in my opinion. So those were the specs. Augmentation is not that good. Devastation is not that good in twos. And let's see in 2100 and more, and you will see the difference. You only have 2 survival hunters above 2100. Again, they could also respec to another spec and get skewed into this BM hunter, but in my opinion, that doesn't happen that often at all. Same for Boomy, to be honest. Same, all those specs. It's pretty telling. You see the drop from Arms Warrior. Arms Warrior was second melee in 1800, and whenever we go at 2100, you only have 3 of them. And you have only DHs, a lot of rogue specs, some feral druids, unholy DK, and windwalker as well, jumping into representation. So you see, representation on lower tiers are not always equal to what is happening on the highest end of ladder. I think that this is a good example for it. And healer wise, you see the dominance from Resto Druid, pretty telling. A Disc Priest as well, and then you have the Fistweaver monks, which are very obnoxious to play against. So this is for twos. Now let's talk about threes really quickly. Threes, you don't have a lot of 1800, let's be honest, because threes is a harder bracket to play. In general, you need a third guy, and double DPS, you cannot play triple DPS, so you have and you need a healer. And in general, I think people do like to play solo shuffle, so maybe that's why also. So you see dominance from DH, actually a remontada from Unholy DK. If you know what remontada is, basically the comeback of Unholy DK going higher and higher. And in my opinion, I think Unholy DK is currently stronger than DH in threes. But do not count on it. And quote me. That's my personal bias, maybe opinion. I think Unholy DK has better comps currently and feels way better to play. And it's also very hard to stop with current meta, in my opinion, especially whenever Resto Druid is very strong, and Holy DKs are actually very strong as well. So they are going up. DHs, I think they're a bit stale. I saw that number a bit not so long ago, so I don't feel like they're like augmenting that much. Arms were very strong as well in threes because they have a lot of comp to play with. Retribution Paladin, actually surprisingly, you have a big like community around it. I do understand that because you have some comps that are a bit easier to play as a Retribution Paladin in threes. Assassination Rogue, actually a lot of them in threes, which is surprising, but I think you can still play RPS quite well, so Rogue, Priest, Shaman. And you have a few other comps that can actually you can make it work. Feral Druid, also very high, but again, it could be also people like going from Resto Druid to Feral Druid. It's the same for Boomy, to be honest. But they are not that bad. It just is that you don't survive that well. The good thing is you have a lot more of a safety net in threes because you have communication that can actually stop you from dying pretty much. Enhancement Shaman also 57. It's quite surprising. 33 Survival Hunter, Frost DK 21, which is not surprising, and only 12 Fury Warriors in threes. But that could also be the amount of people that actually play Arms Warrior is just superior. But In my opinion, I think Fury Warrior is equal to Frost Decay in the worst category ever in threes. And it's quite telling also with statistics, because it's one of the most popular specs in the game. People play Fury Warrior, but people cannot perform on Fury Warrior. And yes, some people can, like for example those 12, but it's not like a norm. You should not take that as a norm. You have Demonology Warlock being very strong, Destruction Warlock very strong. Like I said on my previous tier list, I think those two are like top two casters in general. You have Balanced Druid also strong, although I think it's a bit like bloated because of people respecting to Resto Druid and then going boomy. BM Hunter, actually a lot of them, I think also is a very hidden gem spec. Elemental Shaman, very strong. Shadow Priest is way better in threes, by the way, because you have the stunts, you have the fear, you have the silence, you have the CC chain that you can actually make people lose games because of that. And you can also steal games because of it. So it's very strong. Shadow Priest in threes. I think in Soul Shuffle it's a bit less, and I mean way less. But in threes, coordination makes up for your games and how they go. Of course, again, it could also be Disc Priests actually going Shadow Priest for farming or whatever, but I think Shadow Priest, from what I've seen a lot of Shadow Priest at 1800 and more, so it's not like you don't see representation whenever you're playing as well. You see a lot of mages, a lot of them are actually playing Frost Mage currently because it's very strong and people are sleeping on it, but it's very strong. I made a guide about it, so if you want to check that out, please do. Devastation Evoker, again in threes, they are a bit more cheesy. They're like limited to a few comps, but I think it's better than Frost Decay currently, so it's a bit less cheesy. Affliction Warlock, why play them if you can actually play Destruction Warlock and Demonology Warlock? That's pretty much the state of them. And MM currently is needing for something. I think we are all waiting for the Forset and how it will pan out. But again, it's nerfed in PvP, so I don't think it's going to be mind-blowing either. And Augmentation Evoker is like having a trend where with the nerfs, nobody's playing it. So that is what it is. Healer-wise, a lot of Resto Druid, a lot of Disc Priest. I do see a lot of Resto Shaman because it's also very comp tied. You can play some good comps as a Resto Shaman. Mistweavers mostly are fist weaving, but if again you're playing caster Mistweaver, you could play with other casters and you're very safe. Holy Paladin, again, I'm not a fan of it currently. I think they do run not really run out of mana as fast as before because of the buffs, but it's still not there. I think the throughput is just not where it should be currently for Holy Paladins, and Evokers and Holy Priests actually needing buffs in my opinion. You see also a few tanks, but I think mostly people are like respecing. But I think Blood Decays, I do seem to see them quite often because they are actually very obnoxious to play against. And I understand that it's also a very fun gameplay, so I understand why people do play that. But it's very hard to counter if you do not know what to do. And all those other tanks, I don't see them in PvP at all. So I don't know if they are really existing or not. Let's talk about 2100, and you see way other numbers currently. You have again the top three being the same. You have BM Hunter being the same. Frost Mages are also going up. Elemental Shaman a bit, and then you have like the usual stuff at melee, DH, DK, arms. Retribution Paladin actually dropping. You don't have a lot of enhancement shamans, you don't have a lot of furies and Surava as well. And healer wise, it is actually Resto Druid and Disc Priest. You do see a lot of preservation evokers though, so the representation is not always the same, so it could be better than you would think. It could be that a lot of people are not playing preservation evokers and it's actually a hidden gem, but for that we need to see and play way more games to see that. Resto Shaman and Fist Weaving are a bit less effective in those ranges, in my opinion. Really quickly about RBGs, 2100, you don't have a lot. 1800, you have the usual stuff, which DH, Sub Rogue, Arms, Assassination Rogues, so those are always going to be at the top. And then ranged wise, you do see a lot of boomies, a lot of MMs, Destruction Warlock, Affliction Warlock, Demonology Warlock. The top 5 is always the same every single season, by the way. And healer wise, Fist Weaving or Mistweaving is very strong. Disc Priest and Evokers as well. Those three are always top 3, by the way, every season. So at least from Dragonflight, because Preservation didn't exist before, but it's very strong. Now let's talk about solo shuffle really quickly. I wonder if I can see like this, or else I will be okay. Perfect. So let's talk about solo shuffle really quickly, from 1800 more, because again I think the majority of players are around 1800 or less, or even a bit higher. But 2100, you're really top 50 on your spec pretty much, currently at least. On a few specs, except DH, because the DH is very represented on the ladder. You see a lot of DKs and a lot of DHs, a lot of arms. You see a lot of them on the ladder, and again, if whenever you're playing your spec, you do feel that as well in the soul shuffle matches. Frost DK, bottom of the barrel. Fury Warrior actually is 5% of the amount of players that play Arms Warriors. So again, what do you expect? Overall, I think it's pretty much what you're expecting from solo shuffles. You see a lot of the top 3. You have Retribution Paladins that are also a lot of players. You have windwalk. You have also assassination rogues and sub rogues. The thing that is quite telling is currently, if you're adding the melees with the ranged ones, you have, I would say, around a bit more than 9k. It would be close to 10k to be honest. 10k, and you only have 3k healers, so we still have a big difference about the MMR of healers. I think, again, if you're playing a healer, let me know in the comment section below what you think about the MMR. Is it fixed since season 2, or is it still the same nightmare that you had in season 2 where you had difficulties of climbing? Because personally, whenever I'm playing healer, it seems very slow to climb. At least that's my opinion. And it kind of shows on the ladder that you have a lot less healers on the ladder compared to the other two roles. Again, the top 3: BM Hunter, Demonology, Warlock, Destruction Warlock, very strong. Elemental Shaman actually very strong as well. But like I said, Soul Shuffle, Elemental Shaman, you're doing pretty well. You have a lot of POs, self POs. Boomies, you can decide games. Frost mages as well. And no surprises, augmentation invoker, lowest of the lowest. Arcane mages are very niche, but I think it's very strong, but it's niche. Affliction warlock, it's not performing as well. Shadow priest as well, because again, nobody is really using of the advantage of your CC chains. You have disc priest being like top played spec in soul shuffle. You have resto druids, mistweavers as well, and resto shaman being the top 4. Then you have holy paladin a bit close to the resto shaman, and then you have like the 2 underlying specs, which are preservation evoker and holy priest. You have some tanks, 9 tanks actually on the protection paladin side, 2 blood decays, 2 vengeance demon hunters, and 2 garden druids. In the EU, the same. I think the same of the top 4, top 5 are quite telling. You see a lot more meta specs though in EU. I think we are more of a meta chases in general. It has also always been like this, also on other games, for example, League of Legends. But in general, quite the same tiers. Just in any case, you see a lot less Fury Warriors because there are just more people playing the game for the meta, but it's still 5% of the Arms Warrior population. And then you have healers, which are the same top 5 and pretty much the same top 5 of ranged DPS. So overall, this is the meta. I want to talk about 2100 pretty much a bit. You see a lot of DHs, a lot of DKs, Arms Warrior, only 1 Fury Warrior, which is pretty low. Again, you see a lot of Fury Warriors, but in the end they get overtaken by Frost DKs. So again, kind of shows how good they can be. Resto Druid actually overtaking Disco Priest in the representation above 2100, and the healer, the ranged ones are quite the same, also top 5. And you do see a lot more melees than ranged, let's be honest, but it always has been like this though. There are really not a lot of seasons where you had a lot less melees than ranged, because people do play melees way more often than ranged, even whenever they are busted. So this is pretty much the analysis of this season for now. We will have a balancing patch in 1 week. I might do a tier list once I see there are enough changes to actually update the tier list. But for now, I think it's very accurate. There's not a lot of things I would change, in my opinion, right now. I would be more harsh on the underlying specs. Anyways, but I think top 5 are pretty close and easy to rate right now. And it's not only popularity, but I think it's also representation. You have some specs that are a bit less popular, like for example Frost Decay. They are not popular at all, but they're also not representation. There is also no representation at all, so both of them are very low. So it just means that they are very low on the tier list. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. There is Season of Discovery very soon, so I might cover it on this channel. It would still not overtake retail. I have my second channel for the classic content. If I want to post way more, I'll be posting on that channel. So if you want to check that out, description below, you will see my channel. Again, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you love PvP content. I make guides, PvP videos, solo shuffle videos, anything you want, I make it. So again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. And be sure to stay safe. We will catch you probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.